Tell your friends! Tell your friends about Hooks and Ladders, but also about songstudio.ca. You can get all kinds of information about songwriting, tips, and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, like, follow, and subscribe. That's what we need. That's what you need. Hey there, my name is Blair Packham, and this is another episode of Hooks and Ladders, where we talk about songwriting. And we have a return guest. We have Marc Meriläinen joining us. Marc is also an artist. He's a producer, but also an artist known as Najuan. And we have another question, another pressing issue for Marc to address. But first, I'd like to introduce my excellent co-host and organizer, the guy who keeps me in line, Allister Bradley. Hey, Allister.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Or I should say good afternoon or good evening, depending on when the viewer is watching this. Let's get
right.
it all in there.
See, this is what I mean about Allister being a good organizer. He wants to cover all the bases and make
All
sure
the
everything
bases.
is cool. That's right. So Marc, you are an Indigenous artist, performer, and Indigenous human being. You're not just an artist and
Yes,
performer.
that's right.
That's right. But I want to know, when you write songs, how much of your writing is informed by your community?
Yeah, when I first started the Najuan project in the early 90s, it was a result of what was happening at the Oka crisis across the border in Quebec. So, I had a lot of kind of feelings about that, so I started writing a lot of thoughts down more in poetry, I guess, as a cathartic sort of process. And then, of course, since being a musician, I decided to put those to music. And then that became the first, Najuan record, Brother, that came out in 95. So each record moving forward, I think of what I said in a previous episode, I used to be in a band, like one of those popular bands. And then when that came to an end, I decided to write more songs that had substance or meaning. I'm not the type of person that writes those love songs. In fact, I don't think I have any love songs. I think I have one, but it was about like love lost, not love found, or in love, one of those three. Yeah. So there's a lot of, I've always been affected by different sort of issues, socially, politically, with the Indigenous or community. And my mother was always a big advocate for Indigenous issues. She taught at Laurentian University and at Cambrian College, and she did all these speaking tours. So I kind of felt that was sort of, it was up to me to sort of carry that tradition as well in getting a message out there. Because as Indigenous people, a lot of our history and stories are done through song. There aren't a lot of books you can read that go back thousands of years. So I kind of wanted to keep that up in a contemporary process. So hopefully I'm still doing that today. I try to do it more subtly. I don't try to hit the people over the head with certain issues, because I think it's hard to ram certain things or ideas down someone's throat, or tell someone they're dumb or stupid because they have some weird idea about something. So you kind of have to coax them over to your side, if that's the word I'm looking for.
Well, yeah, I would think that there's an element of persuasion that's involved, and persuading people usually isn't done very effectively by scolding them.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And so you'd have to find a way. How do you do that? Like, do you use metaphors? You talk in the third person, or do you come up? I'm casting. I'm just grasping at straws here. How do you do that?
Yeah, a lot's through sort of metaphors, as well as through good chord progressions and melodies. Because if you love the music, it's going to be hard to hate the people.
Right.
Or hate me, right? If I'm, doing this cool tune and you happen to like the melody and how it goes, and then if later you think about the message, well, then I've already planted that seed sort of in your brain as well, and it makes it more digestible.
It's subversive that way, really. But I think it was Peter Gabriel who said there are no songs with great music. No, I think it was Peter Gabriel who said. Now I have to remember what it was. Anyway, what he was saying is, you can have if the great music is there, it's going to be persuasive, basically.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, like I don't know how to describe it. I mean, the song ideas just usually come to me. I don't really have to think about it too much. I kind of find the analogy or the metaphor pretty quick. On the last record I did, which was a space rock opera, I kind of used extraterrestrials and space, that travel. That was the metaphor to everything I wanted to talk about. Because if you look at Stephen Hawking a few years ago, he said, warned us about, sending signals into space and stuff, because he equated, it could be that when aliens ever come here, it could be like when, the Europeans colonized North America, and that didn't turn out well for the indigenous people here. So there's the potential of that sort of analogy happening in future, repeating itself in a cosmic sort of way too.
So we've got to make sure that those signals we send into space have the best chords and melodies.
That's right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. You got that. And it's funny because, all of our open radio waves have been like bleeding into space for years now, right? So it's interesting if aliens are listening to any of the music. Hopefully they pick up the good stuff.
Yeah, hopefully they're not hearing, the Fox Newses of the world.
That's right.
Yeah. They're hearing that good old-fashioned liberal media that we hear about so much that I never actually see. But
yes, that's right. Yes, or they're hopefully tuning into this podcast.
Good point, and well done, sir. Thank you.
So when you're writing about Indigenous issues, do you consciously have in your mind that part of your opportunity is to explain history to people who are ignorant of it?
Yeah, because I mean, our school system, and I don't mean to put down our educational system, but they haven't really done a great job at it. Especially if you go to different parts of Canada, there's still a lot of blatant racism, and I don't want to name towns or places. They know who they are. Yeah, it's hard. It's like the message never got through. But like I said, if I could kind of do it in a more sort of digestible way, and if that even inspires them to, read a book about a certain event or learn more about the history of their own community where they're living, then that's great as well. I've seen a lot of people even come to the various events, Indigenous festivals here. And someone will approach me after the show or after the powwow saying, "Hey, I heard your stuff on CBC or Sirius, and I really liked what you were saying. I came down to see the show, and now I discovered, wow, I saw this drum group and these dancers, and it's all these other sort of cultural activities happening there at the site as well. So that always leaves me with a really good feeling too."
Do you work with other Indigenous artists as a producer or a co-writer?
Do I ever? Actually, a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, we didn't know COVID was coming. My wife and I started a label where we predominantly produce and put out Indigenous artists. So we worked with the late Kelly Fraser, who was just an incredible talent. She left us too soon. And we also have other Indigenous artists, Stoic, who's this great, I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like Mad Max and like dance music put together, if you can imagine that. It's like post-apocalyptic. We have a couple of really great folk and country artists, J.C. Campbell as well, and Brooke Jodan. So it's great working with these artists. And I think, like I said on a previous episode, I enjoy working in different genres because I get to learn from them. And they have their own unique way of telling the story as per their genre as well. And all these Indigenous artists, they really have, I guess, the knack. I don't know if it's like a DNA thing, but they know how to tell the story. And I think because traditionally we all are storytellers, so I like working with people like that have a message and they can tell the story, and I'm more than happy to help them in any way I can.
And you mentioned not writing love songs yourself, but if one of the artists you're working with has a beautiful love song, obviously you have not everything has to be an overt lesson. I believe there are lessons in everything, whether it's a simple love song or not. There's a lesson there too, but it doesn't have to be overt, I suppose, for you to work on it.
No, I mean, what excites me first, like even before I know what the song's about, is again the melody and the chord progression and the emotion that the singer puts into those words and lyrics, and that's what gets me. And recently, I guess it was last summer now, we recorded J.C. Campbell's record here. And he has this beautiful, beautiful love song, and it's just him and piano with some viola and cello, and it's one of my favorite songs on the record, and it's a love song. And just because I don't like or feel comfortable writing love songs doesn't mean I've never been in love. And I think we've all experienced love in some sort of capacity throughout our lives, and that's something that we can gravitate to when we hear, that particular song or a song about love and so forth.
Yeah. So you do not have a heart of stone, is what I'm getting at, I guess.
No. I'm actually very lovable.
That's what everyone tells me.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. I was saying to Allister before we got on this call, I was saying that I've known you a long time, but not very well, but that I find you lovable and admirable. So
thank you.
Are.
Thank you, Blair. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So yeah, once again, it's great that you've been able to join us here on Hooks and Ladders. I wish you all the best, and I hope that we can talk again soon.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.